Hey, what's up, everybody? Back with another video. Listen, if you have not ordered From Stagnation to Transformation, it is my freshman book. It is, oh man, it's a blessing. It is a blessing to me. It's a blessing to those that have read it. You need to get your copy right now. Click below. And while you're down there clicking below, like this video. As you're watching, feel free to comment on this video, share the video, but most importantly, subscribe to my channel. Click the little bell so you get the notifications on when we are dropping our newest video. But listen, let's go. Day 10 today out of this book. Romans 8:28, the Amplified Version says, "And we know with great confidence that God, who is deeply concerned about us, causes all things to work together as a plan for good for those who love God, to those who are called according to his plan and purpose." Are you called today according to his plan and purpose? And do you love him? Think about it. So it's going to work for your good. Just hold on a little while longer. Here we go. God is all powerful, but because of his decision to bestow the responsibility and right of choices upon each of us, our choices determine his measure of power in our lives. Day 10, the freeing of myself. Y'all, that sounds so good to say, yet the process, man, the process, it was not easy at all. It was cutting. I bled. It hurt. I had to die to some things. I had to let go of some things. I had to free myself of some things. I had to free myself of some people. I had to be okay with people walking away. I had to be okay with everything that I had planned for my life being turned upside down. I had to be okay with that. Why? Because there's a price for freedom. And I want to say something before I get into this video. This video is probably going to be 2 parts. Number one. But what I really want to say is you have to be so comfortable in your freedom. Last night, God bless me, I was sitting at an event and this dropped in my spirit. Your freedom will always look like bondage to those that are bound. And you have to be okay with that. You honestly have to be okay with that. You can't have a nasty attitude. You can't have a nasty disposition. You can't try to flaunt your freedom. You just have to be comfortable in you. Understand that if you allow them to change your disposition, then you're not free yet. You have to allow yourself to be free enough to be you regardless of where you are. But as I said, I hated myself until I was 31. Why? Because I was a programmed robot. I was going through the motions. I had a lot of potential, and that seems what everybody noticed about me was great potential. But how many know that great potential is not always a compliment? There comes a time in your life where your potential must materialize into something greater than that it being potential. God said when he sends out his word, it does not return to him void. You are his word. So therefore, if you return to him, the word that he has spoken concerning you returns back to him, still a spoken word, it returns back void, and that's not possible to do. Therefore, you must graduate beyond the spoken word and now begin to exercise in what he has called and created you to do. So having potential is not always a compliment. There comes a time in your life where you have to grow past the potential. And I kept staying in the potential state of my life, and I did not understand it. And everybody could see that greatness was all on me, and I'm not bragging on myself, I'm bragging on my creator. Everybody could see that God created me for great things. However, there was still always this brick wall that I kept hitting. It was always, yeah, Cliff has a lot of great potential, but I don't know what, there's something missing. It's something missing. And the reality that was missing was Cliff. Because Cliff was so bound by personal struggles with identity and in the mind that Cliff didn't show up. He always sent a representation. And that representation was never the authentic him. It was just whoever he thought the people wanted at that moment. Whoever he thought the people wanted at that moment. But at times, the real Cliff would begin to show itself. And until 31, I would hate when the real Cliff would show itself, because I'd be like, yo, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can't let them see the real you. That's not who they want. See, I was rejecting myself before other people could reject me. Why? Because I hated rejection. Growing up, I was different. Always have been. Still am as an adult. I was different. I remember, not just making this a racial thing, but I laugh about this at times because I had black and white friends, and to some of my black friends I was too white, and to some of my white friends I was too black. So it was like I didn't really fit in a lot of places, and I did a lot of things to fit in that I'm not necessarily happy about. I thank God for the experience, because the experience made me who I am today. However, I struggle with finding myself, and a lot of us struggle with finding ourselves. However, at the age of 31, I still realized I had yet to find myself. And I hated that. I hated going home at night crying myself to sleep. I hated the inward battles in my head. I hated those struggles. I hated being who everybody wanted me to be just to fit in, or just to make them happy and me be miserable. I hated all of that. But I wasn't willing to give it up. See, whenever you want to be free, you have to be willing to walk away from everything and everybody that you have become comfortable with. And see, I understood I was great at pushing other people, but I was not great at pushing myself. My purpose was not able to come forth because I was so focused on everybody else's purpose. Now, I'm not saying that you do not help bring other people's visions to pass. You need to, but you also need to work on your vision. Because if you never work on your vision, you will always be subjected to their vision. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but there is a vision that God has given you that your identity is connected to, and you need to work on that as well. And if they are not encouraging you to do that, you may need to rethink your connection, because you may just be an attachment to them, and there may be no true connection. Because whenever there's a connection, there is a surge of power that's created between the both of you guys, and they ought to make you greater, and you ought to make them greater. But I want to read something else. So here we go. In 2010, I found myself out of the will of God, or rather out of alignment as it relates to godly principles and priorities. Know that anytime your alignment is altered, you will find yourself drifting either towards the left or towards the right. Think about a vehicle, all right? I stopped attending Bible study on a regular basis, choosing rather to work late hours. I canceled ministry engagements because I did not want to take multiple days off of work. Listen to what I was doing, y'all, okay? My personal time of devotion with God basically became non-existent. I also distanced myself from individuals who pushed and motivated me towards the things of God. Now, some of you may find yourself making similar decisions under the disguise of, I just need to find myself. Now, listen, I do believe that we all need to embark upon a journey of self-discovery, hence the purpose of this book. However, the journey should never distance us from the fundamental principles of our life. Listen to what I said. Notice I did not say traditional principles. I said fundamental principles. God was my foundation, my nucleus, my driving force, the source of the gifts that I needed to be that needed to be exercised on my job and in every area of my life. When I turned from him and valued the product of the gifts over the producer of the gifts, it caused an imbalance in my life, which established a disrespect towards boundaries associated with ethical judgment. That's where I found myself at. And when I found myself there, and some people may say, oh man, that had to be a crazy time for you. It was a crazy time, because now I had to face the side of me that I had ran from years. So that was a time I hid behind Christ. Instead of being hid in him, I was hiding behind him. I was religious, y'all. I was religious. I knew the right scriptures to say. I knew how to quote I could piece it together so eloquently. However, there were things in my life I was running from that I did not want to face. See, when you hide in him, you face those things in the midst of your life, and you give those things over to him, and you take responsibility for the part that you played and the part that you need to play in your deliverance and the part you need to play in your healing. You're willing to do that. I wasn't hiding in him. I was hiding behind him. But today I hide in him. Why? Because no longer do I hate myself. I love the person that I matured and developed into. I love where I'm at in my life right now. And sometimes, y'all, it did take me losing everything and everybody for me to understand who I was and to be able to stand on my own. It took a marriage. It took a divorce. It took all of those things for me to grow, mature, and develop into who I am now, and to be able to stand in the identity of who I am and realize that a relationship doesn't identify me, to realize that I guess connections do not identify me, but my identity is found in the essence of my creation. So my encouragement to you today is, if you're at that place in your life and you honestly hate yourself, first, I'm going to tell you, admit it. A lot of people tell you, oh, don't you claim that. Don't you? No, baby, before anything you're going through in life, you need healing in your body. You need deliverance. First, you got to admit you got a problem. You can't sit there and say, oh, no, I'm not claiming that. Baby, you're doing it. It's there. It's evident. It's evident. The evidence of it is there. However, God is greater than the very evidence. His truth is greater than the facts of the evidence. But you got to admit it. Number one, admit it. Number two, seek counsel. There were some things that we need to get delivered from. But there's a process after the deliverance. However God delivers you, whatever process you go through for deliverance, there is yet a process for that aftercare. And many times we miss that aftercare. And that aftercare is needed because sometimes deliverance comes and it's easy to revert back to that which is comfortable to us. Get that aftercare that you need. Connect with quality people that believe in you, that are willing to invest in you as you invest in them. Connect. Get rid of the attachments and connect. And I guarantee you, not only will you fall in love with you, but you will begin to fall in love with your purpose in the essence of your very creation. You have any questions? Feel free to write me. Have a great and prosperous day. And hey, remember, walk in your purpose.